Hello all.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Welcome to Boomzies, episode 30.
30.
Welcoming you all back. We've been gone for a week.
Yeah, we took a little break.
It was my wife's birthday.
How was that? Good?
It was great.
Yeah.
She enjoyed it. She was glad I spent time with her. Women like it when you do that.
When they pay attention. When you
pay
attention
attention to them.
Yeah,
They,
that's kind
they
of crucial.
It seems to be for relationships.
For keeping it.
For keeping it together. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can try other things, and good luck. But
it's probably not going to work out.
Yeah.
And she's kind of hot, so she could like leave me and go see somebody else.
Yeah.
Me,
married up.
I don't really have a chance after that. She gets rid of me, and it's like, eh.
So, anyways, back on subject.
Back on track.
If you've never been to a Boomzies, what are we?
We are Mass Geek Debate, as it says in our little title card at the bottom. We debate about all things in the geek spectrum, from video games, comic books, music, TV, and everything in between. And of course, we have a good spirited debate about it all. Landon, would you like to tell our folks out in the studio audience what our first topic of the night is?
Our first topic is a new pricing tier potential possibility.
Yeah.
From Cliff Blazinski has brought up a viewpoint how he thinks maybe pricing video games could be. As for our main topic tonight, we are also going to be talking about, in this day and age, can you actually create a superhero or a comic book character that can actually rival the popularity of these fundamental characters that are the backbone of Marvel and DC, such as the Batmans and the Spider-Mans?
Can you have a new classic comic book character these days? And thank you, Samurai Sam. You're a heaping hunk of man. You're just sweet-talking me because you have the best Pac-Man's DX score. You're just trying to make me forget about how you hurt me, and I won't! You hurt me, and I'm coming after you, you understand? So, but shall we get into what we've been up to this week?
Yeah, sure. That's kind of how we start Boomsies. We talk about what we've been up to this week.
Yeah.
The first thing that I've been up to this week is I actually, Madison, my girlfriend, and I have been thinking about purchasing a Kinect for a while now. She does a lot of Zumba, and she wanted something that she could kind of dance around a little bit more than she would get from the Wii or having the PlayStation Move, and so she's been wanting to get a Kinect.
Women always want more than they can get from the Wii.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I've always said.
Yeah, and so we've been kind of shopping around, waiting for a little bit, and trying to find a decent deal on it. Target's always had sales to where they're $20 off, and I was just like, $20 off just isn't enough for me to pull the trigger.
You need some better deals.
Yeah, and so GameStop had a special running where it was $100. You got the Xbox Kinect. It came with Kinect Adventures, which they all come with, and then it also came with Fruit Ninja and Gunstringer, and then we purchased the first Dance Central. And honestly, I know a lot of people don't like the Kinect, and that's fine.
People don't like the Kinect? I'm shocked.
That's fine.
I don't know anybody like that.
Now, honestly, I bought it for my girlfriend first and foremost. She really wanted it. I was like, all right, fine, that's cool. I'll get some value out of it. I will tell you, one of the coolest features of this thing that I absolutely love is the menu navigation system. Not with your hands. Not with your hands. I don't want to navigate with my hands, holding it out there. You got to hold.
You don't like the Minority Report thing?
And you got to move around. No, I like Minority Report, but I don't like Kinect's Minority Report. If it was really Minority Report where you had a screen here and I could like physically almost touch it, and move stuff around, and it was quick like that, yes, I would love that. But that's just not how the menu systems work.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Voice command with Kinect, navigating, like literally, I talk at this, I just say Xbox. Apps.
Navigate the menu with your manhood. Can you do that?
Yeah, maybe Man vs. Game can, but
Man vs. Game can.
But anyway, so navigating with your voice is amazing. Like literally, all to open up Netflix, just Xbox apps, Netflix, boom, and it's done.
And I saw, and you didn't have to yell either.
No.
I was expecting like, Netflix now.
Yeah,
it's just like Netflix. Get it out. It recognizes it.
And it's quick. I never have any issues with it. I absolutely, fundamentally, really, really enjoy that. The games, Dance Central is so much. It's extremely embarrassing. I will never play Dance Central in front of other people.
You have to get video footage of you doing this.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know about that. If you bought a Kinect, you automatically sign an agreement that allows anybody to take video footage of you playing Dance Central.
Yeah.
I think there's somewhere in the license agreement that you have to agree to that.
Something. But I really like it. I find myself, I play this game actually quite a bit, and it's a good workout, but it's really embarrassing. Like these dance moves, I don't go to the club. Clearly, I am not a club guy. But
You're not a rave dude?
When I see these dance moves that I have to pull off, I'm like, I don't really think people would really do this in an actual club environment.
But you're not a club guy?
Yeah, so I'm just assuming. I'm just assuming. But honestly, I really, Dance Central, it's really fun, and you get a good workout, man. I'm sweating by the end of playing, 5 or 6 songs of that thing, and I'm just like, I mean, you really get moving into it. Let's see.
I'll watch the girls playing Dance Central in their undies, though. Huh. That's one way to experience
it. They could do that in the commercials, and they'd probably sell more, I'm sure.
They probably would.
But so Dance Central, I've got that. Gunstringer, I haven't played. I've downloaded it, but I haven't played it.
I heard it's good.
I heard that it's got good reviews, but I haven't touched it. What was it? Fruit Ninja was the other one that I've got, and Fruit Ninja is really fun. It's just basic. I mean, it's the exact same thing it was on the iPad, except now you're using your hands and you're constantly just slicing like that. A couple rounds of that, and your arms are tired. I mean, it just shows how much I don't move. But
I thought you'd have very strong arms.
What are you trying to say?
I just figured one or both of your arms would be very strong.
Yeah.
At repetitive motions.
Yeah.
Like that. Like chopping. I'm just saying, as you chop faster, that's all I'm saying. That's the only point I'm making.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. But anyways, so that's fun, and then Connect Adventures is actually really fun. So I don't regret.
Happy with your purchase.
I don't regret my purchase for $100. The amount of games I've got, and I find value in it, especially in the voice command. And it makes me. We're going to talk a little bit more about this later, but it makes me really excited for Mass Effect 3. And Mass Effect 3 says better with Connect, but for me, I'm seeing it better with Connect in voice command, and I actually do think that it makes sense to me in my head. The voice command, I dig it. So
I think it's cool. It's still too expensive for me.
Yeah.
But maybe down the road.
I waited till $50 off, and at $50 I was like, you know what? I've got $100. I can afford to do this now. Might as well.
At least you didn't buy the 3DS tuner. The right analog pad 3DS tuner for $20.
Now see, I've heard from the reviews of it that people are actually like, it's not uncomfortable, and
no, it's comfortable. No, it's, and we'll talk about this more later. But let's save that for a second. But
we're kind of getting a little off topic.
We're getting off topic.
Okay, but anyways,
your second thing.
Yeah, the second thing I've been doing, I Madison, my girlfriend again, she got me one of my gifts for Valentine's Day. It was Batman Year One. The Blu-ray special edition came with a Catwoman little minifig, came with the bonus featurette, Catwoman featurette, which I haven't seen the Catwoman featurette that's in it yet. I haven't watched that. Watched the film, and I watched the bonus features into it. It is the story of Batman Year One. It's the Frank Miller novel, which was written, I believe, in the 80s. And
how is it?
Have you read the graphic novel?
I haven't read the graphic novel.
Okay.
No.
Graphic novel, phenomenal. It's arguably one of the best Batman stories that have been written. I highly recommend anybody going out there read it. Any of the Frank Miller Batman stories are fantastic. Batman Year One. It's an origin story. It is, and the film. I'm gonna kind of bridge both of them. They're both fantastic. The movie was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. Some of the voice acting I was a little off by, but for the most part, I really enjoyed the film. The film and the graphic novel, just the story in general, it's more a story of Jim Gordon than it is of Bruce Wayne Batman. It's him coming to Gotham for the first time with his wife and a child on the way, and it's really at its heart a story about Jim, but it is an origin story of Batman, and it's gritty. It's a fantastic story.
Well animated.
Well animated. Some of it, it's like the car physics in the animation are weird. It's almost just flat, just moving around, and like parallel parking is just you know what I mean?
Just trons.
I mean that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but some of the car physics I was watching, I was like, well, it's an animated feature. I'll let it slide. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how that was. But overall, it looked gorgeous.
Enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. I think, like I said, some of the actor, I forget the actor's name that played that did the voice for Batman, but I wasn't in love with it. It wasn't a Kevin Conroy edition, but the guy that did Jim Gordon I thought was good. Other than that,
but who is Kevin Conroy? Nobody. That's who.
What?
You said it wasn't Kevin Conroy. I said, well, who is who is Kevin Conroy? You know, who's better than Kevin Conroy? Nobody.
Okay, I was like, well, Kevin Conroy is Batman. He's not nobody.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no one is better. Kevin Conroy is it when it comes to Batman.
Yeah. And
boom.
But it had really cool. There was a few bonus features. There wasn't a whole lot of behind the scenes, but there was a really good featurette on kind of the story of detailed Batman's history from like the '60s up to the mid '80s and stuff when Frank Miller kind of took hold of Batman. And it's this transition from camp to when they started humanizing both Gotham and Batman. It took him from basically fighting aliens into fighting real criminals, humanizing him as an individual, both in character design and in storytelling, bringing him a little bit back to his origins, being a little bit more gritty, and then inevitably to where Frank Miller took it and took that to his own world. And it was really cool. It was really interesting because Batman Year One, it's not a featurette, which a lot of these other stories are, where they're not necessarily part of DC canon. I mean, this was written into Batman, the issues of Batman. It was not a graphic novel to start with. It wasn't its own little side thing. It's written into the canon. So they put a lot of faith into Frank Miller, a young artist and a young writer at the time, and gave him reign, and it turned out phenomenal. One of the best stories ever. So
sweet,
worth watching. That's my little Batman nerdness there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're like Batman.
I feel like I talked about that.
I was here. I was just like, Batman.
Yeah.
I love you.
So,
and J.K. Spencer, don't you be starting to bag on Bayonetta, all right? Just don't do it, all right? Well, for me this week, I've had 2 threes in my life. The first one was Metal Gear Solid 3DS Snake Eater.
So many pauses as I say
it.
This.
I don't know. I got a chance to download this. Got a chance to play it. I was disappointed. All in all, I was very disappointed with the demo.
Really?
I was because, well, first and foremost, the good things, they do have updated textures. So graphically, from a polygon of textures, it looks better than any version we've seen. The regular
That's not
PS2,
just by looking at it on small screen.
Right, no, you can tell the textures are updated. It's a little bit higher res, a little bit nicer, which is cool. I thought Bayonetta was just a female God of War with more boobies. She's kind of prettier than Kratos. Kratos with boobies, that's a freaky picture, although they're going to probably have Rule 34.
There's plenty of boobies in God of War.
There are, yeah. So, we don't need to put boobies on Kratos.
Yeah.
There's enough boobies, okay? Don't do it. But what I will say, there are so many issues with it. Number one, and the biggest issue, if you don't have a second analog stick.
Very difficult.
The tumor. It's difficult. They relegate the camera controls to the face buttons. Kind of doing what they did
PSP
in
stuff.
PSP or Monster Hunter, which I could not get used to in in Portable Ops or in Peace Walker. I think it was a bad way to do it. It just doesn't work. Now, even if you have the second little tumor attachment, which is another $20, mind you, you're still missing an R2 and an L2. And I don't know if I can vibe with you on this, but Metal Gear for me is a PS3 or a PS2 or DualShock 2 controller. Just the Metal Gear series from its inception till the 4th has always been about the DualShock controller.
But are they I mean, the Vita's coming out next week. I haven't looked into this, but I mean, are they planning this for the Vita?
No, the Vita is going to be the HD. It's going to be the one that was on the Metal Gear Solid. Okay. It won't be the upgraded one. But that is really what annoys me. So, yeah, even if you have both sticks that you can use, you still have to go down to the D-pad to access some of the menus, to access your gun and stuff. Which for me, in a Metal Gear game, when I'm used to having my thumb on the left stick the whole time, not having to move it anywhere, it just makes it a whole lot less fluid.
Well, something like that could work really well with the Vita, with the back touchscreen.
Right, with the back touchscreen. See, that's
to slide around through.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be much better. The other issue is the 3D is great. They really did a good job with 3D, but as is the problem with the 3DS, when you go into 3D mode, the frame rate suffers really bad. It's about at 30. It's a standard 30 without 3D, but the point of this game is the 3D. When you turn the 3D on, you hit 30, 20, and it's very choppy sometimes. So, all in all, I will not be buying this. As big of a Metal Gear fan, and you know I am, because I've already got a better version that was on the HD collection. It's Metal Gear Solid 3 in HD, in widescreen at 60 frames a second with a DualShock 3 controller.
Yeah.
And it's $30 instead of $40 and a $20 attachment.
That's disappointing to hear that. Because I haven't tried it out. I intended to try
the demo.
I probably still will.
It's cool. There's a lot of possibilities, but...
Because, see, I was able to get used to, on the PSP,
And
Peace Walker. I was able to get used to that kind of control scheme, so I could probably get used to this. But granted, I mean, if they're doing, roughly this on the PS Vita, then I want the PS Vita.
To see what
That's
the PS
all there
Vita
is to
do.
it.
I'm interested to see where it goes. So
That's all
anyway,
there is to it.
wasn't a fan of this, and
That's disappointing.
Yeah, it's disappointing. But again, go try the demo. Try it out for yourself. It's available on the 3DS eShop. Now, the second thing I've been up to this week, another 3, has been Mass Effect 3 demo, which came out just the other day. And as all of you know, as much as I hate and despise BioWare, I am absolutely enthralled with the Mass Effect series. In this case, I was actually, it was a reversal for me. I was almost guaranteed I would love the one player, and I was worried about the multiplayer. And it ended up kind of switching up on me. The multiplayer in this game, phenomenal. I cannot wait for this. It's, as they talked about, it's going to be, the multiplayer is going to be the side story. You're going to be a squad of people. You're not going to be Shepard.
That's a cool way of tying it in.
You're Shepard's B team. You're like his, the backup crew. He's cleaning up the main mess.
He's Alpha, you're Delta.
Yeah, exactly.
Beta,
exactly.
I'm not an army.
Whatever, man.
I don't know.
Well, and Cookie Armory says the MP to me is a horde mode. It is like a horde mode. There's kind of like Gears of War where you have waves of enemies coming. You have different objectives, but from what I understand, this is just in the demo. In the full game, you're actually going to experience a full story. There will be more to it than just a glorified horde mode. Now, of course, this is what I hear. But the class system in Mass Effect works perfect for the multiplayer because you have Sentinel, you have biotics, you can upgrade the new weapons, so it feels like a battlefield in that sense.
Right.
You can feel a lot of that, and it works perfectly. It'll have upgrades and all. So far, loving the multiplayer, loving how they're doing that. The one player, on the other hand, was good. I just wasn't as blown away by the gameplay. The cinematics were amazing.
I'm sure they don't want that. I mean, it's a demo, and you don't want to. I'm sure there's really cool.
Yeah,
shit
I'm sure there's really.
Yeah.
He has a different run in this game. He runs like the Iron Giant. He has no ball joints. He just runs like this. He has like this very I'm running.
In 2 he had a lot of shoulder movement, didn't he?
Yeah, in 2 he was like
almost annoyingly shoulder movement.
So yeah, they got rid of shoulder movement. They're like, just have him run like a robot. That's so sweet.
Is that with gun too?
Yeah, he's just with gun. He's like, I'm running. I'm coming.
It's like fast RoboCop.
It's fast RoboCop, exactly. But it's cool. Drop it. It's cool, and I liked it. There's 2 missions. One was the opening, and the second one it doesn't give you spoilers, but it's just about Rex and the female Krogan. You're trying to help save one of those, and so the first part is without all your powers. You're just usually it kind of guides you through how to use the game. While the second
more
part,
story introduction,
right? And the second part is in the middle of the game somewhere where you have some powers, and I did enjoy that a little bit more because it felt more like the full experience. So all in all,
well, now before you kind of wrap up, though, I was curious. I haven't played it yet. I've got it downloaded. When we get done with this, I'm actually going to turn it on. I'm going to try the Kinect functionality.
Yes.
I'm really like I talked about. I like the voice commands. I was seeing it over at my friend's house, at Dirk's house earlier today. I don't know if it was on his TV that was the issue, or it was the actual game. Is it drastically darker? Was it really dark to you?
Well, is contrast. If you're talking just contrast and brightness, I mean, on my team, it seemed fine.
Yeah.
The beginning,
on his, it was almost
stage,
obnoxiously dark, and I was like,
the first stage kind of gets a little dark because the sky's dark. Yeah. It didn't bother me on my tube, but it may be an issue for some people.
Well, it just looked really overly dark to the point where it almost bothered me. It was, and I couldn't tell. I was like, well, I know they're trying to get into this gritty story, so I didn't know if maybe that was like just put on this filter and make it really dark. The other thing was, how was the voice for you? Because when I was watching this on something I'm not used to, somebody else's television. I don't know what their settings are, what their audio is normally like, but it sounded like their voicing sounded like they were talking in a bathroom, and the music in the background was just really loud. It was kind of difficult.
The only thing on that is I didn't turn on subtitles. I like having subtitles.
Well, we had no subtitles on either, and I was having trouble.
No, I could hear everybody just fine. No, I could hear everybody just fine. It might have been probably was an audio setting.
Yeah.
So
no, that's cool. That's what I hoped. I was really concerned. I was like, God. I mean, the previous were so good.
Crab battle. We have a crab, but not a giant enemy crab. We have crab battle here. So anyway, download the demo, play the multiplayer. I think we'll do it. And March 6th, I'm going to be playing for the first 2 Mass Effects. I already beat 1 and 2 as a male Shepard, a nice guy, and now I'm playing through as a mean female Shepard in 1 and 2.
I've only played as a nice.
I know, but I'm going around. Plus,
collector's editions on both of us, right?
Collector's editions. Yeah, that's right, buddy. Look at that agreement.
Well,
Edition,
honestly, I think
Mass
Mass Effect
3.
2 is probably like a near perfect game.
I do too, and that's why I'm seeing 3. If they can do what they did in 2 and even just up it a little bit, I'm very excited about it. So, but before we get into the main topics, I want to cover this for those who are just joining us tonight. The music for tonight that you're hearing is from a game called Chaos Code. It's a fighting game from Sega, and the soundtrack is really, really great. I got a chance to listen to it. A friend of mine online, actually on Gmail, recommended it to me. He hosts a show actually on RetroWare, listens to different music, to different jams. So I appreciate that very much. But why don't you reintroduce...
Well, before... sorry, I want to kind
ahead.
of address something I see in the chat here. J.K. Spencer has made a comment that says, I fear the Vita will suffer the same fate as the PSP. Extremely slow start, decent success at the very tail end of its run. Now, I think that's only going to take place based on us, the consumer. Because
Right.
the Vita, in my opinion, has probably the best launch lineup of any...
It's got a great launch lineup.
anything.
Not enough for me to spend $250, but it does have... It's got, Uncharted, Blaze Blue.
And it's quite a bit. And because of the
I
sales...
do like the new cases.
And, yeah.
The little sexy small
Yeah,
cases.
yes, I do.
Yeah,
I like them, yeah. And because of the kind of... I don't want to say failure in Japan, but it's not succeeding to the point where it was in Japan. They're bundling a lot of games and stuff with the Vita, so I'm not as concerned about it, but I am a little skeptical just because of the sales.
Yeah,
in Japan.
I mean, well, just because
But
it's selling in Japan. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Again, I'm more
I think
interested
it's-
in the next 6 months when they have more games out, and when we start to get towards the end of the year, towards Christmas. That's when we're really going to see things kick up.
Well,
in
and
gear.
if it fails, I am more apt to blame it less on the hardware and on Sony,
Right.
as it is a changing market of everybody just has smartphones. So,
Do they have a Monster Hunter coming out for
Anyways.
PS Vita? I don't know. Have you heard about a Monster Hunter?
no, I haven't. I've been paying attention to that. Are we
I don't-
lagging?
Someone said we're lagging. I don't think we're lagging. Don't tell us we're lagging. Don't mess with us like that, man. Don't hurt me. I can't deal with the fact that we might be
Nope.
lagging. No,
No
lag
lag,
here.
everybody.
All right.
Okay, cool. Anyways, you want to introduce
Yes.
the opening?
Opening topic of the night, for those of you who just joined us, we're going to be talking about Cliff Basinski has brought up an interesting point, which we've talked about before. We've had the whole debate about used game sales versus new, DLC passes, online passes, all that kind of jive. What Cliff Basinski has brought up is kind of a new pricing tier, as it were. It's the ability to...
It's a new tiering
It's a new
program.
tiering program, so that instead of online passes, what I'll say is, let me just put the idea out that he's put. Cliff Basinski has presented the idea that instead of having online passes, that you actually have a light version of the game. So depending on what game you have, you release the game as a $30 retail new release. And say it's a one-player experience. You play the game, you really enjoy it, and then if you want the full experience, you download a DLC for $20 or something to play the online.
Well, that's looking to kind of clarify a little bit on this. He's looking at Cliff Blazinski's making comments on games such as let's use Gears of War 3 as an example.
Right.
That is an example where it has a pretty lengthy standard campaign experience. So you got that single player campaign experience, and then you've also got this great online experience. You can go into a retail store if you want to. If you're only interested in the single player campaign, you don't care about playing online. And honestly, there are a lot of people, some people might scoff at that, but there are a lot of people, when I worked at GameStop, they would come in and they don't give a shit about online. They just want to play the campaign. So you come in and you buy this light version of that game for a lower cost at, say, roughly $30.
Right.
You take that home, you love it, you beat the shit out of that game. You love it and beat the shit out of it.
That's a
Moral
very
of the story.
S&M abusive relationship right there.
That's wild. And okay, so you play that, you beat it, and you're like, you know what? Actually, I want to play the online version of this, and you can pay the
Getting a call on
DLC,
the Boomzies phone here.
pay the DLC, and unlock the rest of it. It's a new tier plan.
Hello, you've called the Boomzies phone. Who are we talking to?
Red Score's my name, or Fabian Sam.
Hey, Red Score. I was just chatting with this fine fellow on Skype a little bit ago. How are you doing?
Yeah, hello. I'm currently watching you on the stream. Is that live?
Yes,
Yes,
we're live.
we are live.
Then the delay is really huge.
There's like a 5-6 second delay you'll see from when you talk and then when you hear it there.
Okay, that's really distracting. Okay, I have here the stuff about the DLC you're talking about, and it's really a problem because even that idea that seems to improve the situation is just a catalyst for more and more abuse of DLCs.
So do you think that will promote more abuse of DLC? Essentially, that
Yes.
will go all digital and they'll just piece it all out.
Yes, and for example, in a game like Mass Effect 3, what is holding them back from separating the game into 4 parts, like sequels to each other, but more connected in a line of story,
Like an episodic.
then- yeah,
Well, that's a good point. I mean, and I don't think you've heard what he said, Landon. I mean, pretty much the question is, if you allow them to do this where they're putting these light versions
you
out,
can
what
certainly-
stops them out from piecemealing it little by little by little?
No, yeah, I get it, and I was going to get into this too. Anytime you start to give power to anybody, somebody's going to exploit it,
Right.
in some way or some fashion. And I don't think that it's necessarily a bad idea. It just needs to be worked out. And I think, especially, I'll get into it later on, but if you start releasing these where you could pay this extra $20 or $30 for the online experience, say that game is now 2 years old, is that price still $30? Will these companies actually discount these prices
Right.
as the games age? And I think some companies will, some companies will not at all. And you're going to see that $30 price there 2 years, 4 years down the road, and you're just going to be gouging customers. You're going to go into a store 4 years down the road, pay $10 for that game, and now you got to pay 3 times that price just to play online,
Right.
because these developers don't want to discount it. And that's going to happen. I guarantee it. If that comes that way, it's going to happen.
I think what's going to happen, and to both Red and Landon, is the consumers are going to have to be the ones who pass judgment by their buying dollars. If a company did that, then they would have to say, I'm not even going to buy your game in the first place because I know there's $120 worth of download content in order to get the full game. Would you agree, Red, or what do you think on that?
yeah. I have an idea by myself for copy protection.
Sure.
I am an IT person. I'm educated as that, and it's really a simple thing that you can do, which will grant nearly 100% security for games.
And what's that?
Maybe it sounds maybe weird, but it's a hash, a serial number that corresponds with a copy of your game. For example, the serial number is on the disk and on the servers of the company, and you will send a single message and respond and get a response for that. And for example, if that message was already activated, it will ask for a code that was only shipped with a bought game. So you can only activate it if you have bought it or if you have that code which was shipped with it. It will be like a key to the door.
Right. And only with that can you unlock all the content on it.
Yes. Of course, without cost then.
Right, and I think no cost to the extra cost to the gamers, no extra cost to the publishers and developers. And I think that's what you're trying to say. We need to come to an even place where both the consumer and the publishers don't get cheated on this.
Yes, and it's not a code. I read the chat along. It's not a code. It's like a handshake between the server of the developer and the disk itself.
Right, when you boot it up, it automatically recognizes
It's exactly, yes.
the data that's laden on the disk.
So it's like a handshake, so that you have an original disk.
Hey, you know what?
I like his analogies.
I like his.
It's a
it's
key to the
handshake.
door. It's a handshake with the server.
He should be in sales.
That's the IT term for that.
There you go,
Handshake
IT
system.
talk. Well, thank you for your idea, Red. I think it's a great idea, and it's getting us closer to what we're wanting. So,
Yeah, thanks.
well, I appreciate
Okay.
your call, sir, and you have a wonderful night.
thanks-
What is
thanks
it in
for having
Germany?
me.
Is it daytime?
No, it's 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning.
Wow.
You are dedicated, sir. We appreciate that.
Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
We'll see you, bud.
Thank you.
That's dedication there, man.
Yes.
At
I would
5
not,
in the
I would
morning.
not be up at 5 in the morning for this.
I would not be up watching this crap. That was such like a. He's watching this crap. Ugh. You're supposed to be saying you're proud of this show.
5 in the morning
So-
proud and 10
No,
at night
and 10 at night proud are
is
two different things.
Different.
Fine. Cookie Army says you mean like a dynamic code on the disc that would
Yeah.
automatically register. So,
No, that's fine.
but I think the idea that Cliff brings up, and I think the idea that Red brings up, the mentality behind it is trying to benefit both parties.
Right.
Whatever the system is, needs to have that goal in mind, and that's where I see a lot of the current DLC codes we talked about are one-sided. They only benefit the publishers, the developers, or vice versa.
Well, and I think the thing that kind of what Cliff is trying to get at too is, I know a lot of developers are trying to change the pricing tier of how games are priced at, like maybe lower them, raise them, however they want. And the thing is, it kind of goes back to kind of what we've talked about multiple times. You're going to have to look at the content of that game and evaluate how much that is honestly worth, and
Right.
be honest about it. Because no matter what, if you're looking at games and they've got an online portion of it and you've got the single player portion, you can sure split that 30-30. But there's always going to be the games that are like, I know you don't like Skyrim, but there's going to be games like Skyrim that have a lot of content. That game is never going to be $30 brand new. It's just not going to be
Right.
a $30 game. That's
Because
going
there's
to
no
be a $60
online
game.
component. It's just
Right. Well, and
it's a full
and on
deal.
top of that, even if there was online component and that amount of stuff that was on that single player, that's still $60 worth of
Well, and
content.
people are mentioning, it's something Cliff brought up with Battlefield 3. It actually wasn't Cliff, it was one of the other people that was in the discussion. Brought up in Battlefield 3. That's mainly an online experience. Even David Jaff about Twisted Metal said most people are going to play this online. So another thought was to have online versions of the game that you could purchase digitally, and then if you wanted the one player, you could go out and buy the one player disc. Now they would incorporate to one another. So again, I do agree with Red Score sentiments that we don't want. Well, again, the abuse of the system is always going to be there,
Well, yeah,
no matter what you do on both sides.
Yeah.
But
well, it's going to happen too, to the point where it's like, okay, sure, maybe we'll start at $30.30, and then people are going to start investing a lot more time and a lot more effort into their online and start
Right,
getting all these extra
right.
components. Because then you're going to pay in $30 for that online, then you're going to pay $30 for this, was it EA that's introducing their Elite program too? So you're paying even more money there, and eventually you start putting these out in like the caller just said, episodes. You're going to be spending more than $60
Right.
somehow. This is going to. I get concerned about it. I get really, really concerned about it.
Chatia, by the way, welcome. Yes, you are unbanned. No furry porn in here, okay? None of those links to the whole money-making scheme you have going on, all right? Totally appreciate what you're trying to do. Gotta feed the fam. But that's not cool. I don't care if beef puts you up to it. I'm not appreciative of it. Would you agree with me, Landon?
On no furries?
No furry porn.
No furry porn.
Yeah, just those links. I mean, I'm cool if you're into that. But, just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying it's not appreciated here on the show.
All right.
I mean,
She says
I'm
sorry.
into
She says
it.
sorry.
I'm into it.
She's
I'm
upset.
into it,
Sorry.
mind you. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying this is a family show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Clearly, by my
by your.
the words that come out of my
Oh
mouth.
yes, the
I am-
words that come out of your mouth.
I am
you
a
are
very-
Mr. Rogers.
I-
In the online video world, Landon is Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, I
He's
very
clearly referred to as that. So
I don't
kind of got a little sweater in the.
kind of.
You're
yeah.
layering.
I don't cuss
You're layering.
at all
yeah.
ever.
Oh, we got to call on the Boomzies phone. Hello, who are we talking to on the Boomzies phone?
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, hey there. I'm watching you guys on the stream, and it's so far behind. I was waiting for you guys to...
I know.
And I knew that
Sorry,
you
there,
guys were gonna-
there, it is a little bit
Okay.
behind sometimes. So
I had to call in and stop the furry porn discussion, and then that needed to be stopped, and I have some
thank
stuff
you,
to talk
thank you
about,
for
too.
bringing sanity back into the show. Well, what are your thoughts besides furry porn? What are your thoughts?
Besides that furry porn menace troubling society. Actually, right now, I'm really geeking out hard about the PS Vita.
Yes.
I'm going hardcore about that. I've never
You
been
got
that
one?
hardcore about a system before.
Do you actually?
Did you pre-order it and get it the week early?
I'm actually so far beyond broke it's not even funny. But I have a birthday.
But you're still
coming up,
excited.
so I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm psyched on it. So psyched. I actually found a demo of it, like a demo machine, demo Vita thing
Right,
at
right.
a Future Shop, and I was walking around the feature shop with my mom because she was looking for season 4 of Cheers or whatever the hell it was.
Classic, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know, and then I'm walking around, I go, I'm looking through the video game section, blah, blah, and I look over. That's a Vita on display.
Like, I'm gonna be here for like 2 hours, so
Mom's gonna have to watch Cheers here.
Right here.
All right,
Right here.
all of season 4.
Yeah, it'll have it was awesome. It had a little like I don't know, not really a time, but it was a short little section of a level in Uncharted on the demo, and
Good?
Like the dual sticks felt good, the triggers felt good, the buttons, the D-pad, it all felt great. The touchscreen was really responsive. They
Excellent.
didn't use the back though. They didn't use the touch back in the demo part. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. If you're trying to show
And
us,
well, it might have been. How is it held up? How is the casing for it? I mean, maybe could you get your hands back to the back touchscreen?
it was basically just a wire going into like where the video games would go on. There was like this thing
Okay,
bolted
right,
where
I
the
gotcha.
video game cartridges would go, and it was this big wire that kind of like held it in so you couldn't take it too far away. And everything felt really good. The machine felt really good. It wasn't that heavy. I was really surprised. And it's basically an iPod screen inside it. It's about the size of an iPod screen, and it's definitely not something you're gonna fit in your pocket.
Yeah.
But
But it's a good.
Well, it's gonna have a gorgeous screen.
it
It's got
feels
that.
good.
It's got that OLED screen, so it's gonna be gorgeous.
I've
Well,
heard
see,
some-
you're lucky. I had
Why?
to play it at Best Buy, and they had them in these on these chains, these little dongles on these guys, and you actually have to literally go up to the guy and play it as he's got it around his neck. So you're right
Yeah.
next to the guy, like, hey man, so you like watching movies? You felt very personal. So you got the better end of that deal, man.
Not quite like E3 where they were all attached to beautiful women. The 3DS.
Yeah.
See,
I wish that.
there you go.
That's it.
Yeah, see
Yeah.
that you
No, but,
work on that technology.
No, like
Women?
it was, and like I was looking around, like you could pause it, and you had the option to go out to the main menu. I didn't want to do that though, because I didn't know if there was any kind of like what was there. If it was just like a demo machine with like nothing on it, so I didn't want to like check out the menu and like oh geez, he's got some crazy stuff downloaded on here. What's going on here? You know what I mean? But no, like it felt good in my hands. The sticks were very like it was really weird. It's kind of they're not like floaty, but they're not like too stern either, right?
No, they
very
feel good. They're smaller,
They feel good.
but they feel
Right.
firm.
Yeah,
They do
and,
their
and the
purpose.
triggers felt good too. And you didn't really have to use the touchscreen that much in the demo. All you had to do was use it to use a machete to cut through a cloth because you had to go through this area.
Right.
And
yeah.
it was really weird. You had to like slash 3 or 4 times to get through this cloth.
Well,
And
if I had the money,
was-
I'd buy one today. But
oh yeah.
that's the one issue. So we will dream together, all 3 of us,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
of the day when
No,
we have a Vita.
another thing though is I heard there were some problems with the screen where I forget what they call it. There's a thing where like certain parts of it are I don't know how to explain it. It was called a Mura, M-U-R-A, where it's like a part of it is too dark or something. The
Weird.
screen is, and it's only like it's like because the I can't really explain it, but and it's really weird. It's not like it like messes with the quality or anything. It's just some parts are really dark for some reason, and it's
Than others.
like a really black part. When it's
Well, maybe
turned
that's 'cause
off, you
the
notice that some
OLED
parts are
screen.
really black
Possibly.
and stuff. And then there was some people have been complaining about sometimes one of the triggers is stiffer than the other one, and that can get really annoying. If you've played any
Right.
sort of off controller before, you know how that feels to have a looser trigger.
Now, are you
It's,
getting this from people playing the demos, or are you getting this from people that have been owning one? Because I'm sure the demo guys are getting a lot of use.
I've been looking over these forums where there's some
Okay.
people that have
That actually
brought
don't
some in
want-
from
yeah.
Japan
So I was
and
gonna
stuff.
say it's definitely going to be.
And there's a
two
lot of
different
problems I'm hearing with the AT&T online stuff and other things like that. And
Well,
lots of
that's-
the
I
online
think
for
that's
the
like-
games isn't working.
I think that's like anything with release systems. Anytime you have a new release, Xbox, PS3, the people who buy it first, even iPhones, are kind of the guinea pigs. So
A little bit, yeah.
hopefully they'll iron out the kinks and there's no
Yeah, I mean, we
red
got
rings
time.
of
And
death or
the
anything.
other thing was some of the there's this really weird problem where it won't shut off or it'll go to a blue screen and it won't turn on or be responsive at all. And I guess what people are saying to do is, since there's not really a way to take the battery out, you have to either let it completely die or like plug it in and try to hold on a power button or whatever, and maybe it'll do that.
Weird.
Like,
Well, I'm sure like a lot of those technical issues, I mean, they'll all be addressed with system updates and stuff. So
Yeah, hopefully. And then we can hack the PS Vita.
oh, and I like the remote play. I've also seen some videos with the remote play, and it looks really cool. Where like not everything's available on remote play, but some people have hacked the remote play. Where like one guy had Red Dead
Right, you can play
Redemption
different
going on
stuff.
it, one guy had Battlefield going on it. It was ridiculous.
Well, we'll all be playing it very soon. So, but I appreciate your call.
we'll definitely have it on the show sometime
Yeah.
soon. So
When we get one, we'll both play
yeah.
it, okay? We'll get the codes and trade them.
Definitely.
All right, man. Thanks for your call, bud.
All right, see ya.
See ya. So, let's get into the first topic.
sure.
No, second topic.
Second topic. Yeah,
Second
the
topic.
main
First
topic.
The main
What we're
topic
here
of the
for.
evening. What we're all here for,
Yeah.
really. We're talking about mass comic effect. Kind of give us the
Yeah.
idea behind this
Changing
topic.
it up. We focus so much on
We
video
do, we
games
do.
that we needed to kind of switch it up a little bit. So we're talking about comic books and superheroes tonight. Basically, the conversation is going to be the staples of the comic book industry and the comic book world are primarily, arguably, these big superheroes that have been created all the way back to the 30s.
Right.
The Batmans, the
30s,
Supermans.
40s, 50s, 60s.
A lot of those, they're the backbones. They're the people that transcend popularity. And when I say that, what I mean is these are characters that are able to appeal to full-grown adults,
Right.
appeal to children in different forms, bridge the gap from comic books to film to all types of media. Again, to just all around mass popularity. And I think a lot of things like with Batman. I'll use Batman as an example. Batman is both really gritty, can appeal to adults. It has gone through its camp phase. You
Right.
still have Brave and the Bold, where it's for children. It's been in comic books,
And
movies,
of course,
video
movies
games,
has been super popular,
everything.
really.
And so, in this day and age, can we actually? Are we able to really create somebody, create a character, create a franchise that is going to be as popular years down the road and become as
Right.
essential in this
A
world?
memorable comic book character for the lexicon of comic
Yeah.
books, that we know
that is
as.
not a traditional classic hero that
Right.
was created in the 30s, 40s, 50s,
Well,
60s.
the question is, I guess I would ask then, it would beg to ask the question, does anybody in the audience, or can you think of somebody created in the last 10 years, a
Well,
comic book character created in the last 10 years, that is memorable?
For me, here, I'll say this before I really kind of answer
Just to
that.
get into that.
The most recent, for me, in my mind, this could be completely wrong because I haven't done a lot of
Scott
research
Pilgrim.
into this. I don't think Scott Pilgrim is.
He's a comic bookish character, but out of the
he's
classic
not. I would not put him.
superhero.
I wouldn't put him in the Batman
Well,
at all.
yeah, he's a different kind of comic.
Here's what I will say. Probably for me, the most recent something that has become as popular as Batman, as Superman, would have to go to the 80s. And that's stepping back 30 years, become as big as these. And I would say the Turtles. Teenage
With
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Turtles, we have Watchmen, which still are, now they're not huge as Batman, but they
Watchmen
at least...
isn't children, though. And so this is why I'm saying, like,
So you're talking
such
about it has to be not only memorable, but a wide...
that's what I'm saying.
A
Like,
wide appeal.
as crucial, I mean, we can narrow this down, and we can go into something like Watchmen,
Right.
certainly. But when I envisioned this conversation was something that would bridge, like I said, bridge the gap from the age differences.
Right.
That could both grow with the children that are watching this.
Right.
Appeal to adults
you have
and
different...
children.
Well, like
And
Batman,
Teenage
you have
Mutant- well,
different versions of
And
those.
in, what is it, 84, 85, Eastman created the Turtles. And that was originally created very gritty, very
Right.
dark,
Very violent.
very adult. Then it turned into the cartoon series.
Yeah.
Very
With the
kid-oriented.
exact opposite way.
Very kid-oriented. And then it has transcended into video games, from the books into movies. That is essential. That is quite, and that's now it's done by IDW. I mean, that's their bread and butter. They've got the Turtles back. They've introduced a new series, and I think that definitely Teenage Mutant Turtles is that, and that's going back to the 80s.
Fetus Ninja Tadpoles. Crash Landing. Fetus Ninja Tadpoles. I would read that comic book. I so would. J.K. Spencer, if we're going with the 80s,
Transformers, yeah.
Transformers
So I think
started as a comic
Transformers is
book.
definitely.
Yeah, there's some, but okay. So a wide I guess the question is back to a wide...
I mean, maybe am I...
No. But I agree with you, because if we talk in terms of other media, video games, movies, characters like Mario in video games that have a wide range of appeal to a wide range of people and
I don't want to make
demographics.
this so broad, because that's a difficult thing to become
That is.
a Batman and a Superman.
But, I mean, so the question is then, kind of a sub-question, are you just kind of... Is it... You either have to be a classic character created back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and that's it, and you will not be a multi-generational, multi-demographic character, or is it possible to be created today or 2 years ago and be not only popular but appeal to a wide range of people?
I think you can. What I would say is, I think the issue I see with this, why this really hasn't happened as of late, is that because I read comic books a lot, and I'll see these books come out, and I'll read some fantastic books, but the thing is, most of the time that these are new iterations, these are either one-offs, 6-part miniseries, or 12-part miniseries,
right,
and they're done, and the publisher moves on to something else. It's hard for a publisher to dedicate and take enough of a risk to really make an ongoing monthly from a series.
And that's hard to do. That's hard to do because I talked about the Spider-Man. That's a classic series, but just in the sense, Joe Madureira did like 3 issues, and he said, "Hey, see y'all." And I think what happens is a lot of writers, talent, artists, moves on to, oh, we got a call. Hey, Red's calling back. Hello, good sir. Good to see you again.
I'm it again.
Hello.
Sorry for calling over and over again.
Hey, it's almost 6 in the morning where you at. You have the right to call us.
I'm currently not that sleepy.
Well,
and,
you have the right, sir. You're from Germany. We'll accept it.
Okay. You're talking about why no new comic book heroes appear, right?
Well, the idea of new comic book heroes that appeal to a wide range of people, to a lot of people.
That can transcend popularity in the same way that Batman can do.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I would say Superman has even a broader popularity.
Superman has a broader audience than Batman?
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Because
I mean,
he's like the goody two-shoes who is always good, who is not that gritty, not that dark. But okay, it seems currently that the problem is that the comic book authors are feared because, you see, currently the market is not anymore that big as it was before. So there's not much place to expand. And you can't really take
Well, they, like you're saying, they only have their core demographic they need to appeal to. And they figure, that's who we're selling to, that's who we're going to appeal to. We don't have the time or money to try to appeal to a wide audience.
Exactly. If for example, the audience would increase, then smaller companies could try to create newer heroes. For example, I can list you a series that created many different heroes or villains that appeal to everyone because they could take risks. For that's the Mega Man series. The villains were from each game to each game different, and everyone loved each game.
Well, I think you bring up a good point, in that in video games and in other media, I think they have an easier time introducing new, memorable characters who do appeal to a wide range of people over comic books.
Yeah, and sorry.
It's a bigger industry.
Right.
I mean,
right.
You can take the risk more so there than you can take the risk in comic books. And I kind of mentioned here in the chat, I think comic books could take that risk a little bit more if they go only digital. But if you go only digital, that cuts down on the price and makes it easier for them to take that risk. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, if you only go digital, you lose some of that appealing to larger audiences.
Right, you lose some of your contingencies, some of the base.
But that's in a short term,
long time.
I mean, as long as it's a really good series, long term. I mean, it's not like you're gonna introduce a new character and they're gonna immediately be Batman. You know, they're gonna immediately be that popular. No. It's gonna take 10 years at least.
Well, I think like Red was kind of alluding to, the comic book industry either has to have smaller companies or has to have bigger companies take that risk. risk has got to be associated. If you don't take the risk, then you're not going to have the chance to make those new characters.
Yes, and really a good idea would be in that case to simply make something that's for both. Like, for example, smaller companies should start with webcomics. Webcomics have nearly no production cost.
Right.
You save the paper, you save the delivery, you save the money you have to give the shops, and you can make a broader audience. You have more possibilities in the internet as you have in comic book stores.
And you can actually get out to a lot of people there. So, you know what? I think that's a great idea. I'm hoping they do that to get it that wider audience. So, again,
yeah, so
sir,
it's like just the smaller companies should start with digital comics, and the bigger companies should go on like they are.
well, I agree, sir. You've got a good idea. I think we should implement it. But as always, sir, we appreciate your opinions from all the way over in Germany.
Annoying you.
What's that?
You're not annoying.
Oh no, not at all, man. We appreciate your thoughts on this because that's what this is all about. I mean, we want to get your guys' thought and what you think. And I mean, I think your solution works perfect. Low risk, high possibilities, and I think it actually works. So you rock, man. You're not a bother. You're awesome.
Oh, thanks, man.
No
okay,
problem.
I'm in the chat room then again.
All right. Sounds good, bud.
But yeah, I mean that's like what I was saying. I was like, I mean, you reduce the risk if you do digital,
Right. Yeah.
and it makes sense. You know, then you kind of, but you do. There are some takeoffs. You know, whether or not you're going to get the full spectrum.
But I
of
do
people.
agree that you have lower risk.
But you start looking at you start looking at the industry as a whole, less of creating characters. Anybody can, you can create your characters if they become popular
Right.
or not. But you have to look at the industry as a whole. And quite honestly, you've got other forms of entertainment are taking off and becoming way huger industries. Video games and movies, they're much larger industries.
Well, we
than
can look at
comic
video
books are.
games.
Well,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you're looking at the comic book industry, and you know, comic book stores. A lot of them are shutting down nationally. And then Chatia points out here. I mean, aren't comic book companies really kind of looking year to year rather than in terms of decades? And
Yeah,
probably,
long
honestly,
term.
yes, because right now in the state of that industry, you kind of have to.
Well, they're not encouraged. The state of the industry and where everyone's at is not in a place that encourages that type of long-term growth. Whereas video games, and that's why I was going to make the point of video games right now, a series that I just talked about, Mass Effect, has taken off. It's been a huge series, and it's touched a lot of gamers' lives. It's a memorable characters. So there's a series that is in a multi-million-dollar industry that has taken off within the last 10 years. I don't know any video game, well, let's say any comic book that has taken off in the same way, and Mass Effect is but one example in video games. So, we got a call coming on the Boomzies phone. Hello, you called the Boomzies phone. Who are we talking to?
Zach from Ohio.
Well, from all the way in Ohio. How is it going in Ohio?
It's going good. The weather's wanting to be weird, but it's going good.
That's Ohio for you.
Like
I know.
like you.
I know Ohio very well. I frequent there. I have a summer house there.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. We
So
should
so
go hang out.
what do you got to say on this topic?
Well, while you was talking to your German friend on the phone, I noticed something in the background.
Do tell.
You said something about video games. I was like, what if some of these comic book companies actually start taking some video game characters and putting them into major comic book roles, like Street Fighter, for instance?
Well, because
yeah,
Street
certainly.
Fighter they have made Street Fighter comics, and they have made Mass Effect.
Yeah,
That's very true.
Dragon's
It's a good
Age
point.
does it. Halo had some issues. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, that franchise, they've got. I mean, that happens certainly, definitely.
But I guess the question then
I'm
would be,
thinking-
are those titles as long-lasting and wide appealing as a Batman or Superman, or could they be?
I think they can. I think maybe look at Insomniac Games and Ratchet and Clank. I think that is a series that could appeal
Yeah.
to both. It's got a lot of that crass humor, sexual innuendos, but at the same time they're kind of cute characters and they blow a lot of shit up.
Tongue-in-cheek, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think that could be something that could be translated into comics and actually last for a long time. It's a possibility.
What were you gonna say?
Well, Ratchet and Clank could make a good one, but then they have to risk cutting out part of their whole shtick, which is sexual innuendo, which...
Well, but
Yeah,
see,
that's-
you,
that's a good point.
but see, you look at, you have two different markets. You make different things for the different markets. In the same sense with Batman, you've got Batman the Brave and the Bold, and you've got Detective Comics Batman. Both Batman, two very
Well, but the
different
question
markets.
is, if you're introducing a new series, can you afford to split it off like that? You know what I mean?
But,
Because Batman.
but in this case that we're talking
Well,
about,
this
though, we're
is-
not introducing a new series.
Well, but you're introducing a new comic series, even though it's still a venerable video game franchise. You're gonna have people who enjoy the series and will buy the comic books, but to appeal to the comic book readers who aren't interested in Ratchet and Clank from a video game standpoint, you need to have one series that says this is the definitive series, and then if it's successful, as Batman was, split it off. I don't think you can start with more
Well,
there.
you don't have to, but you could. I think it could work.
What do you
if you-
think? Do you think that could work, starting with 2 or 3 or multiple series, or would they really need to focus on one?
Well, I would do it like how Marvel did with Spider-Man. At first they focused just on one character, and then over time,
But
they brought in all these other characters. They brought in Punisher, they brought in Daredevil, and they all
But we've
branched
already-
out and they created their
If-
own little thing.
But if we're using Ratchet and Clank as an example, and this probably isn't the best example,
No,
it's just
but it's
something
an
I tossed
example,
out.
right.
But it's an example. It's already been established in its own form.
Well, but it
So
has.
they've already focused on
But the
that.
point of it is, you have to address it as if you've never read it, as if you've never heard the story, because the video game players are familiar with it. But me personally, although I'm familiar
Well, no,
with
you're not
Ratchet and
going
Clank,
to introduce a comic book that just starts at the end of the last Ratchet and Clank video.
Whoa, watch yourself. Bud.
I know.
But what I'm saying is, I think it's a good idea to introduce these characters and reintroduce them even to players who have played the games through their entirety. I
Yeah,
think that's what he's saying. He's saying introduce each character so that you have a better idea, because these
Well,
video
you're going to
games
introduce
don't.
them, yeah, in the comic book. It's not, you're just not going to be jumped in and like you expect to know.
No,
who
but
they
what
are
he's
and
saying
their
is
motives.
individual characters. Really get to know them, because the video games, although you do get to know the characters, you don't get the kind of story and lore that a comic book can provide on the individual characters. Am I hearing what you're saying right?
Yeah, because like in a comic book, you can take more time to build a story.
I don't understand your
spread that
issue
out
here, though.
through
But
multiple issues.
I-
While in
I think what we're
video
saying
games,
is-
you're kind of stuck
Right, we're
to doing
introducing-
this,
so you're saying you need to start in a comic book and then move
No,
to a
no, no,
video
no.
game?
What we're
I
saying
don't-
is you're introducing the comic
No.
book, but as multiple characters. Not it's Ratchet and Clank, but then it's a series of Ratchet and Clank focused on Ratchet and one focused on Clank, so that you get to know all these characters individually, almost like a Avengers kind of thing, where they have their own books, and then at some point there's a book that combines them all together into Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank are two. They're integral to each other.
They are, but what I'm saying is it focuses on those characters.
You can introduce.
Or-
Yeah,
or-
you can do that with like 4, maybe 3, like the first 3 issues of the comic book. But they're going to need to be together because that's the dynamic of what that is. I mean,
Well,
you can
but maybe-
introduce it to something else, but I don't think that's essential.
But like you said, maybe it's a backstory.
you can do that, sure. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think you have.
That's
to do
what
that,
I'm agreeing with him.
But you
I
don't
think
have
he's
to do that though.
no, but I think he has a good idea.
Sure.
It's 2 against 1.
So I'm not arguing with you. I'm saying that it doesn't have to.
We
be that
win,
way.
okay?
Whatever.
We win, Ohio. You and me against Landon. How do you like that?
Oh, that sounds perfect, man.
Yes, we formed an alliance. It can never be broken.
Yes.
Well, thanks for your opinion, man. We very much appreciate it.
That's no problem.
All right, bud. Take care.
All right, take care. Catch you later.
See ya. Look at that, man. Brilliant. Can you shut your phone up?
It's
We're on a show.
cut to something.
We're on a show, man. Can't
But,
you just...
yeah. You have nothing to cut to.
I have nothing to cut to.
Okay.
So anyway,
I had to start something new.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
You had to start something new, and now see, look, now he's going.
I know.
He's leaving. So anyway, we're going to continue the conversation here as he leaves. I was all by myself. I was all alone. Reminds me of that secret track on the Green Day album. And now I'm all alone. But now, I have control of the show. It's all mine. We can talk about whatever. Oh, crap.
I'm sorry.
I was just getting
I
power.
broke it.
I was just getting mad with power. Well, anyway. Well, no, the idea is that you'd introduce it as separate comics. But
You could do that, but I don't
You could
think
do
that's
that.
essential.
no, I don't think it's necessarily essential. But I still don't think that's a theory. But we don't have anything right now. That's at that point. And I still haven't heard anything really too slow, Brian. I don't think there's anything right now. But I think the issue is, and what really has to be solved, it's not with the authors or the publishers, it's with the industry.
I think that's the biggest issue.
You think that's the core
currently,
issue?
right now? Just I mean,
Right.
with the fact that most comic book stores are shutting down across the nation.
Right.
For the most part, if you're in a town, more than likely you only have one comic book store, and that's kind of it. Unless you're in a larger city, for the most part, I would assume. It's just kind of a bad time for the industry. I mean, you're looking at a lot of digital sales now just to try and combat that, and I think that's just kind of the biggest issue. I think it's totally possible. It's probably going to happen, when the industry comes back in full force.
Well, and that's why I think Red Score says, Boomzies, what about the most famous couple of video game heroes in new comic series? Donkey Kong, Mario, Peach, and Luigi. A foursome.
Right. But see, I think...
And see, the thing is, it's
Well, I
taking
think
existing
Mario.
characters.
Yeah, I think Mario and Donkey Kong and all those. I mean, as far as video games, like those are ingrained in society. I think those are maybe their symbols aren't as well known to across the world as Batman and Superman, but I think that's something different. I think really the topic we're talking about is, can we create something
Right, something
currently,
new, something that's
fresh?
not an IP that's
It's
in
not
another
using.
form of media.
I know we were using. That's why I was saying Ratchet and Clank is a bad
Right.
example because it's existing something. But if you were able to create something like that, I mean, Ratchet and Clank could. But it's creating something new,
Right.
And
Well,
putting it in
Shatia
that
said
position.
she made a suggestion about Metroid. She says, "I really think comic books you need to go darker," which I know goes kind of against the thought.
Yeah, I mean, you can start that way, especially I think that's true for comic books because honestly, the largest portion of comic book readers are adults.
And
They're
I
the
think
people,
you're
they were
right,
the people
yeah.
that were there, reading comic books in the 70s, and a lot of people from the 80s and in the 90s. And when you go into the comic book stores, you've got the small portion of children-friendly books, and you've got
Right.
the larger portion for the adults. So
Actually,
I think that's apt. And once you create the darker, then you can come back later and
Right.
create the campy.
Well, we'll take this last call here. Hello, good Tanner, sir. What can we do for you?
We're talking about comic books, and I'm also a bit of a comic book fan. And the thing with comics and comic book superheroes and stuff right now is people tend to want to do what's popular and not try to make something new. And right now, everyone's trying to be dark and gritty like Batman, and everyone's trying to be doing, and everyone's and the thing is when people. And another thing that I personally think is people are kind of getting a little tired of the same old ongoing narrative superhero story stuff, and it's people are kind of tired of seeing to be continued and knowing there won't be a conclusion. People kind of want more of a story with an ending, a middle, and a beginning. People want to see more
A story arc.
Well, that's
a classic story
complete
arc.
arcs.
I mean,
and
that's
stuff
what's
now.
in. I mean, that's what's out now. I think most of the time when you get new stuff that's being published, that's what you get. You get 6-part miniseries or 12-part miniseries. It's hard for developers or for publishers to create something and dedicate it to a ongoing monthly. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, the thing is, people are, and that's why most of the new stuff is more of that, quick little like Watchmen, which got insanely popular, was more like a 6-7 issue miniseries thing, and that's why most of that new stuff is a little bit of a miniseries or just a little one-off or whatever. It's because it's easier, and people, I think more people want more of a beginning, a middle, and an end. Maybe with one little niggling thing that you can branch some kind of side story off if you really need the money or if people are showing enough interest in it. And that's what you do as a smart business person, is give something where you could make some kind of interesting sequel off of. And if enough people are interested in your series and enough people want to know about that niggling little detail, then you can come in and as you prove that people want this product. And a lot of that thing is sometimes these miniseries, they tie things up too tightly, they don't leave or they leave things too open, and people are like, well, he just wants a sequel. This is kind of a waste of time here.
I see it more for me with the books that I read. I see it more of it is tied up to the point where there is nothing more to go on. You know, you can create new characters in that world, but as far as those people, that's it.
Yeah.
And then another big problem is Watchmen was one of those where it was all tied up, and the knot is so tight to get anything.
And the only place to go is prequel.
Yeah, the prequels, and like it's so tied up. You're gonna have to go the Terminator 2 route, where it's like, or the Terminator 3 route, sorry, where it's like you can only postpone Judgment Day. Like, bullshit, Arnold. Bullshit.
Happened again. I fooled you. You are all idiots. I'm the Governator.
That's the answer. That's the answer.
The producers
Terminator.
needed more money.
The Terminator. That's our new comic book series.
Yeah.
Boom.
And
We figured it out.
People are trying to make, you know, everything in, you know, like they're trying to take a property and make everything with that property. They're trying to make a video game of it, a comic book of it, a movie.
Well, I mean, they're trying to get the most bang for their buck, I think is what you're saying.
Just sometimes you just need to focus on one medium. Like Tarzan, what originally happened with Tarzan was, and like back in the day, everyone's like, oh, well, you can only succeed in one medium. That's why there's only a TV series, or only a radio series, or only a movie. And the guy that made Tarzan's like, screw that, I want money. Everybody gets a piece. And
Right.
it took off. Tarzan was the first superhero, but at the same time, sometimes that just won't work. And people are stretching themselves too thin, and people see too much of that. And some people are like, well, I only like the comic book version. I only like the movie version. And you got to make sure that it works on all fronts. Like sometimes...
Exactly.
Like making a Heavy Rain movie. The game was a movie.
Exactly, right. It doesn't need any more exploitation. I think your point is stop exploiting these IPs. Let them be if they need, and then move on.
And to really
But if
make
you
a new-
do that, then you're never going to get to the point where what the conversation is about. At a certain point, you have to do it, but you have to do it right. I think is also what he's saying.
Well, it depends on the medium. It depends on the series.
Well,
if
not
it lends itself, to that.
I mean, not everything can be a Batman and a Superman.
Well, sure, of
So,
course.
And
but I mean, you have to take
another
those
thing
risks.
Another thing is, like in the golden era of comic books, they had like compendium, like Detective Comics was about a bunch of different kinds of comics, and they're like, oh, this is Batman, we're throwing that in there. They didn't just come out with a Batman comic and say this is going to be the next big superhero, like Rob Liefeld with Youngbloods, and they're like, Youngbloods, it's gonna kick ass. Here's Youngbloods number 0. And no, they didn't do that. They're like, oh, we just have a bunch of stories. Here's Batman, here's that, here's Mighty Mouse. There we go.
Well, DC is doing that
people
currently.
like Batman.
With...
Okay, we'll make more Batman. And they're really liking Batman. We'll have a whole series of Batman. And then wow, they really like this. Okay, we'll have an offshoot of Batman. Well, okay, this is taking off here. Well, there's a TV serial now. You gotta let it grow.
They just keep going and going and going.
Small and let it grow and let it catch.
But see, DC Comics is doing that with the DC Comics Presents. They're going back to that concept.
Yeah.
So it's new stories each time, and maybe those characters can link.
I think
and
that's
they'll get
the
their own
answer.
series.
I think that is the answer to our question tonight. I think we've kind of come to a nice conclusion here that the smaller companies can possibly take risks in webcomics, but the bigger companies need to go back, like DC is,
Comic Presents.
and DC Comics Presents, introduce new characters within a current popular characters, and then see if they can kind of catch fire.
Well, it's not within a current popular character story.
Well,
it's within
a universe.
I mean, you put DC's name on it, and
right,
there you go.
And then it hopefully takes fire. So,
See, and that was another problem with DC. They're like, we're relaunching our entire lineup. We're gonna have 52 new issues. And then the guy leans over and is like, 52 new issues of what? We have like 13 good comic books right now. And then they're like, well, we're having a comic for this guy, a comic for this guy, a comic for that guy, a comic for... This isn't gonna work. I don't care. We need 52. I said 52.
Well, no, I disagree with you wholeheartedly on that. I think DC Comics did a good job with their relaunch, and they actually, instead of just creating a comic book for random people, they actually cut out a lot of comics. They actually cut out one of my favorite books I loved reading Robin, and they transitioned that into Red Robin, and now the only chance I get to read Robin is through Teen Titans. So they didn't just willy-nilly hand out comics to different characters. So in that I actually disagree with you, and I think they did a pretty good job with the relaunch. They're bringing characters into the 21st century. For the most part,
I just know that
better.
they've been canceling a lot of books. Like there's been waves of cancellations where 5 or 6 books have been canceled.
But that's not a statement on DC Comics. That's a statement on the comic book industry.
I like
my
J.K.
opinion.
Spencer. He does the Oprah. You get a comic, and you get a comic, and you get a comic.
Yeah.
It's like
The
Oprah.
Branders gets a comic.
Everybody gets a comic. I don't know. I haven't read much comic books, but just to be a douche, I will totally agree with you against Landon. There we go. See, Tim,
right.
thank you. See, I've got both our German friend Red and Tanner that I both agreed with. 2 against 1.
But see, you're agreeing based on no knowledge.
Well, I'll agree all the
See,
more.
I
I'll agree.
But see,
Another thing I wanted to
Tanner
point out
here
was-
reads comic books, so his statement, that's perfectly valid. He can have that opinion.
Well, I
have
just
a
agree with
different
Tanner,
opinion,
and I
so-
think he's very well informed, and I like him a lot. So,
One more thing I wanted to put
Sure.
out is people are trying to be too much like other superheroes. They're trying to be too much like other things. They're like, oh well, people like that, so let's be like that. No. Batman came out as something completely new and he caught on. Superman came out as something completely new and he caught on. They came
Well,
out
I
as
think-
something completely new
Right.
and they caught on. Captain America was new. Spider-Man was new. The X-Men, Stan Lee was a little lazy, but it was still kind of new.
Jack
that's
Kirby,
definitely-
anyone?
I mean, that I think, to wrap it all up, I think that will happen. It's going to happen randomly at some point through DC Comics Presents or another publisher that's going to be doing something going back to the roots of what comics were in the 40s, the 30s,
Right.
with this new kind of character, new issue each time.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
hopefully something will stick.
Hopefully. Well, Tanner, thank you for your call, sir. We appreciate your time and your agreement with me, even though I have no idea.
Oh, definitely.
But I'll still agree with you. And
I have one question to pose for you two to argue about
Ooh.
as I leave. Who is, if there is one, I'm kind of foggy, who is the best new superhero right now? That you would, what would you qualify as new, and as you qualify that, who is the best new superhero?
Landon.
That's a tough one. I mean, are you saying comic, or it has to be a superhero?
Some kind of comic, whatever that you guys are discussing, if it's comic or if it's just as in like a
I think just a
graphic series of some
or
sort.
an
What would-
IP of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you
That's
what
right.
I will tell you what I really, really enjoy is a series. I think it's. I don't want to say who the publisher is because I'm going to get it wrong. It might be IDW. It might be. Oh, it's Vertigo, I think. American Vampire. American Vampire has turned into one of my favorite books that I'm reading. I forget what issue it is. I've been reading it for a while, and I highly recommend it to a lot of people. It's fantastic. That's what I'll say about that. It's very. I mean, it's violent. It's vampires. It's very violent. And
Right.
it's not the Twilight vampire type crap. I
No
mean,
sparkles.
It's definitely
Okay,
violent.
No sparkles.
Yeah. So that's a fantastic franchise. That though, I'm
Bella,
not sure.
we can't be together.
I'm not sure that could ever be to the point where the Batmans are, just because I don't think it could bridge that gap to children friendly.
Well, your dad had a great idea. Charmin Man. Charmin
Jesus
Man.
Christ.
Making bums fresh every day. My favorite, I would say newer, of course it's been years since Battle Chasers. I really love the characters they made in Battle Chasers. They were really unique, well drawn. You had this kind of heroine character, who was this little girl with this glove. The robot steampunk looking kind of mechanical. The designs and the ideas behind Battle Chasers are really cool. Something a little more recent even, that's not comic books, Incredibles. I know it's not a technical comic book, but as far as superheroes go, the family dynamic and just the movie itself, I know Pixar isn't big on sequels, but I could see some really cool sequels coming from The Incredibles. So, well, that was a great question, sir. And we still didn't debate or hurt each other, so you did well. All right, bud. Well, you have yourself a good night.
Here's a free one. Here's a free one for any comic devs that are listening. How about you try a guy that starts off as kind of a douche, like he's a rich little spoiled kid douche, and then he kind of finds that it's good to be a hero, and he has and sort of like Batman. You can kind of be like Batman in that it's a rich guy and he has all this money and he's a real person, but
That's
you come
Green
a
Hornet.
different way and you go, he's a rich spoiled kid that's an asshole and he's a bit of a dick to people, and he's like, well, I want this and make it again, and then he kind of comes in and he's like, oh well, being a hero is kind of nice, after he might accidentally or kind of not meaning to save someone from something, like someone's getting mugged or something, and he's dropped his watch or something, and he reaches to pick it up, and as he comes up, someone hits him and then he comes back and he's strong enough to take a hit, and he goes back and he's like, what the hell, and he beats the guy off and doesn't realize that he's saving someone or something like that.
Huh.
Come in like that and have a hero come out that way.
That way.
Or whatever.
Well, it could
You
be
know
a
what I mean?
possibility. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
You have a good evening.
Oh, is that Buster Gold? I
Yeah,
don't know
basically.
every superhero in the world.
Yeah, that character's kind of been created.
Oh well.
It's a good thought.
It's a good thought. There you go. All right, bud. We'll see you later.
Jeez, I don't know Buster Gold. I gotta read more comic books.
He's in DC. I don't like
I'm
him.
DC. No, I kind of stick to a few issues here. I don't try to read every superhero because I don't
No,
have
that's
the money
cool.
nor the time. I'll have to check that out though.
You check it out. Exactly. All right, bud. Have a good night.
But that's
Peace.
that's nothing to say against Tanner in that. I think it's I'm a graphic designer and I think you're a graphic designer and
You think
In-
I'm a graphic?
no sorry
I'm a graphic designer, and I think you're one.
And-
I've seen some doodles you've done, and I think you've got something to do.
that's not
The douche comment of the day
I'm
goes
trying-
to Landon officially.
I was
I
going-
didn't make it. That was Landon.
and I was trying to say and I think I was going to my next. I'm sorry. We're both graphic designers, and I think you will agree, is what I was going to say. I think you will agree that within the design world, nothing is original. Everything's been created.
Everything
and
is
at this
a
point,
remix.
it's
Exactly.
just kind of taking things from here and here and putting them together into a new, unique form. And I think
Right.
that's kind of, unfortunately, kind of what he has said is Booster Gold is kind of a Green Hornet-esque thing. But just kind of mix something else in
Mix
there,
something
and then,
up.
and then you've got something.
Right,
there.
and
So
I
nothing's
will,
original.
on a side note,
Mix it.
everybody needs to check out the series called Everything is a Remix. They just released the 4th part of it, and I got to tell you, it is so well produced, so insightful, very well researched, in-depth, just TV broadcast quality, but it talks about it's the last in the series, talking about how everything is remix, and the human gene evolution and the social memes evolution, and how they become very different, and kind of tying in with the idea of intellectual properties and such. So definitely go check that out. But I think we've come to an end, a conclusion
done,
of this.
We're done.
We're done.
Quit.
We got this figured out.
Power off.
But we are not just Boomzies. We are Substance TV. We have a lot more to offer you.
Lost my drink. Don't know where my water went. Sorry.
Well, sorry.
That's what this is.
Too bad.
This is what this
all
is.
right,
I'm looking
focus. Focus. Okay, here, people. Focus. But we are more than just Boomzies. We do not just offer you a little bit of the leg. We offer you the whole kit and caboodle. We give you more at substance-tv.com. Articles, interesting.
It's over here in the corner.
Yes, over there.
Go there, check it
Interesting
out.
articles. Also on our Facebook, check us out there. We post up a whole lot of articles, pictures, humorous things throughout the day. I mean, really, Lan and I are on top of that, and we post just multiple times a day. And of course, that's where him and I argue.
We argue a lot, and a lot of the. It seems like we will have arguments on Facebook that will turn into posts on Substance TV, and then the
Right.
argument continues on Substance TV.
Exactly.
So,
Boomzies, would you
We
be
get along
interested if
so
I would
well.
try to write a superhero? A single adventure? Hey, I'm down for hearing new ideas. What's that? Missing the water? This looks like a job for a shaman man and
Jeez.
Squeegee lad.
jeez,
That's it.
that's hilarious.
It's the adventures of Shaman Man and a sidekick Squeegee lad.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Man. Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
Are we gonna do that comic book? You agree to that?
Yeah, I've read scores.
Sign the deal. It's done.
I've read
Boom.
scores.
New comic book idea. Memorable. Yeah. But we're gonna have a new topic next week. But if you want to see that new topic, how are they gonna have to see that new topic?
I feel it just sounds like, we talk about whoring out things, whoring out DLC. It's like we're kind of whoring us out.
But it's free.
Yeah,
It's
it's
free.
free. There, I guess that's
Absolutely.
true.
You just gotta click
That's
a
true.
button.
But anyways, we're going to be announcing our next week's topic on Twitter at Substance TV.
That's what you follow.
About Wednesday. Wednesday.
Yeah.
We're probably
Check
gonna
for
release
us
that.
Wednesday on our Twitter account at Substance TV, and we will announce our topic for next week's all new, brand new Boomsy. So anyway, I think we did come to a good conclusion here tonight, sir.
I think this was a good conversation. I'm glad that we stepped away. I hope everybody here in the chat. I know we're primarily video games, but I hope
Right.
you guys really enjoyed a different
Well,
conversation.
and yeah, we do want to have a different conversation. If you do have any topic suggestions for us, hit us up on Twitter or Facebook.
Yep.
Because Landon brought up this topic idea, and I really loved it. We do want to talk about video games, but we also want to expand on other things. Because
Yeah, send us topics on movies, more topics on comic books. I love talking about comic books. I absolutely
running out of
love it.
ideas? Never, Samurai. We have a billion ideas. such as how to beat you in Pac-Man Championship. I'm doing that. And the next week, I've let you lay low. I've let you have this, but I'm coming for you, buddy. I'm coming for you.
Not running out of ideas. We just want to expand our ideas. But I felt like we were kind of going into a groove.
Right.
And
we
need
want
to
to move
break it
on.
up
We
a
want
little
to
bit.
diversify. Exactly. Diversify our portfolio.
Yeah. Anyways, contact us always. Ask us random questions if you want to. If they're awesome and funny, we will address them on the show.
We will. We're
So
glad to take your suggestions.
awesome. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for showing up. We
Very
really,
much
really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Hope you had a
thank
blast.
you guys. 30
So,
episodes, and we still are going strong. Have a lot of great viewers and a lot of great questions. So, as always, guys, join us next Saturday at 10 p.m. for another edition of Boomzies. For Brian,
And Landon.
we'll see you again next
Thanks,
week.
everybody.
See ya.